Hello everyone, I'm Jayashree. Welcome to my channel and to this tutorial for the crochet ribbed and cable dress. Okay, so just a few things before we start. The size I'm making for this tutorial is a medium. The finished length for the dress is 40 inches. Or in centimeters, that would be 102 centimeters. The length of the dress can be adjusted. In the tutorial, I will show you how. Also, you will notice that once you've completed the back panel seems longer than the front panel, and that's because of it being fully ribbed compared to the front. The ribbing is super stretchy and pulls down on the back panel. So when you get to the assembly, lay the back panel on top of the front panel, right sides facing in, and then sort of nudge the back panel into shape to fit the front panel. Make sure that the back panel aligns well with the front panel before seaming together. After the panels are seamed together, you'll notice at the start of the hip, the dress, when unworn, bulges slightly, and that's because of the increase in the ribbing after the waist. That's to accommodate the hip area. The fit is snug. You'll see that the increase opens up to fit the hip once worn. So that's it. In the next few clips, I'll provide the measurements of the dress. Hope you enjoy this tutorial. We'll begin with the center front panel, which is the panel with cables. To begin, it's form a slip knot. Then it's chain 38. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue to 38 chains. Round 1. Into the 4th chain from the hook, double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's yarn over, insert the hook into the chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Continue working double crochets all through the round. I've completed round 1 by working double crochets all through the round. Round 2, it's chain 3, 1, 2, 3 and turn. Chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So double crochet into the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Then it's 2 front post double crochets. So to work a front post double crochet, it's yarn over, insert your hook into the post of the stitch and pull up a loop through that post. Yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. And for the next front post double crochet, Then it's a double crochet into the next stitch. So I've chained 3 here, which counts as a double crochet, worked a double crochet, 2 front post double crochets and a double crochet. Next I'll work a 4 stitch cable. We're skipping the 2 stitches and into the 3rd stitch, the post of the stitch, go through that post and pull up a loop. Then it's yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Into the next stitch, the post of the next stitch, we'll work a front post triple crochet. So it's yarn over twice, go through the post of the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. That's a front post triple or treble crochet. To complete the 4 stitch cable, we need to work those 2 skipped stitches as well. So again, we'll go into yarn over twice, go into that first skip stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Do the same for the second skip stitch. And that's the 4 stitch cable on the right side complete. Over the next 3 stitches, we'll work a double crochet, a front post double crochet and a double crochet. So a double crochet into the stitch, a front post double crochet into the post, and a double crochet. You'll notice that for a front post triple crochet and a front post double crochet, the difference is that for the front post triple crochet we yarn over twice, and the front post double crochet we yarn over once. Over the next 6 stitches we'll work the 6 stitch cable. So we'll skip the first 3 stitches and we'll work front post triple crochets into the next 3 stitches. Go back to those 3 skip stitches and beginning with the first skip stitch, work a front post triple crochet, into the next skip stitch work a front post triple crochet, and into the 3rd skip stitch work a front post triple crochet. That completes the 6 stitch cable on the right side. Again, over the next 6 stitches we'll work another 6 stitch cable, but this time we're going to change it a little bit. So skip the first 3 stitches and work 3 front post triple crochets into the next 3 stitches. That's the 3 front post triple crochets. We'll now work those front post triple crochets into the 3 skip stitches. The difference between this 6-stitch cable and the one we just completed is that we'll now be working those front post triple crochets under these 3 front post triple crochets that we've already worked. So yarn over twice and then insert the hook. Previously we went above those 3. Now we'll be going under those 3 and into that post. Pick up a loop and continue as for a front post triple crochet. So again, into the next skip stitch. You can also push this 3 front post triple crochets aside and find that 2nd stitch using your fingers. I think that makes it a lot easier. And now to work a front post triple crochet into that last skip stitch. Again, find that stitch with your fingers. So that's the 6-stitch cable, but I've done it differently from the previous 6-stitch cable that I've worked. Into the next 3 stitches, we'll work a double crochet, front post double crochet and a double crochet. So it's a double crochet, a front post double crochet, and a double crochet. Again, into the next 4 stitches, we'll work the 4-stitch cable, but this time we'll work it in reverse as well. So skip the first 2 stitches into that 3rd post, work a front post triple crochet, into the 4th post, work a front post triple crochet, then it's go back to those 2 skip stitches and work the front post triple crochet but in reverse. So we're working from under those 2 front post triple crochets that we've already worked. That was the first stitch, skip stitch, and here's the 2nd skip stitch. So that was the 4-stitch cable worked in reverse. Then over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, including the chain 3, which counts as a stitch, we'll work a double crochet, 2 front post double crochets, and end with 2 double crochets. So it's a double crochet, 2 front post double crochets, 1, 2, a double crochet, and into that chain 3, a double crochet. That completes round 2 of the center front panel. I've completed a piece here just to give you an idea of why we're working the cables in reverse. I've worked the cables as usual at the beginning of the piece, but when I came to the center, I worked the remaining 2 cables in reverse. And the reason for doing so is because I wanted the 3 front post triple crochets to align themselves to form this pattern. If I hadn't done that, this cable would have faced that in that direction as well. So by doing so, I've allowed both cables to face each other. Moving on to round 3, it's chain 3 and turn. Here we'll work back post double crochets and double crochets. So into every double crochet we'll work a double crochet, and into every front post double crochet and front post triple crochet from the previous round we'll work a back post double crochet. So into that first double crochet from the previous round, work a double crochet. Into those 2 front post double crochets from the previous round, work back post double crochets. So to work a back post double crochet, it's yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch from behind, into the post rather, from behind, and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 loops. Again, to work a back post double crochet into that front post double crochet of the previous round, it's yarn over, insert the hook into the post from behind, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Then into every double crochet of the previous round, it's a double crochet. So into these front post triple crochets we'll work back post double crochet. Keep in mind that for the 4 stitch cable you need to work 4 back post double crochets. For the 6 stitch cable, make certain that you're working 6 back post double crochets. So that's the first one for the 4 stitch cable. That's the second one, third, and the 4th. Then it's a double crochet into the previous round's double crochet, a back post double crochet into the previous round's front post double crochet, a double crochet into the previous round's double crochet. At the 6 stitch cable, work 6 back post double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, the next 6 stitch cable, work 6 back post double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it's a double crochet into the previous round's double crochet, a back post double crochet into the previous round's front post double crochet, a double crochet into that previous round's double crochet. Again, at the 4th stitch cable, work 4 back post double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then it's a double crochet into the previous round's double crochet. its 2 back post double crochets into those 2 front post double crochets from the previous round, and ending off with 2 double crochets. The last double crochet is into that chain 3. I've completed round 4 to round 77 by repeating round 2 and round 3. Remember that the center front panel determines the length of the dress, so you can either cut down the number of rounds worked for a shorter dress or increase the number of rounds worked for a longer dress. At this point, do not fasten off. We'll be working lengthwise along the center front. So turn the piece and we'll work single crochets all across. So into every double crochet, the post of the double crochet, work 2 single crochets. So the post of the stitch of a double crochet is this part of the stitch here. So we'll be working 2 single crochets into that space created by the post of the stitch. Continue working single crochets all along the length of the center front panel. So that's 2 single crochets into every post. I've completed round 1 of the front side panel by working single crochets all across the length of the center front panel. Round 2, it's chain 3 and turn. Here I'll work double crochets all across. Continue to the end of round 2. I've completed round 2 of the front side panel. Moving on to round 3, it's chain 3 and turn. Here I'll work double crochets, but I'll work those double crochets into the back loops only. If you look at the stitch, here's the front loop and that's the back loop. Work the double crochets into those back loops only. Continue to the end of the round. I've completed round 4 to round 9 by repeating round 3. Before moving on to round 10, I've placed 2 stitch markers along the side or edge of the front panel. Measuring from the top of the front panel, the top of the front panel is the side where we've ended the cable on. So measuring from the top, the first stitch marker is at 7.5 inches and the second one is at 17 inches or 19 centimeters and 43 centimeters. So the first stitch marker marks off the armhole opening and the second stitch marker is to the hip. Round 10, I've chained 3 and double crocheted to the first stitch marker from the bottom. I've stopped at the stitch before the one that's marked by the stitch marker. So I have 2 stitches to go, including the one that's marked by the stitch marker. I now need to taper off, so I'll work a half double crochet into the stitch before the stitch marker, and I'll work a single crochet into the stitch marked by the stitch marker. So to work a half double crochet, it's yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 3 loops on the hook. And to work a single crochet into the stitch marked by the stitch marker, it's insert the hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Round 11, turn. Work a single crochet into the first stitch. So insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Then it's a half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 3 loops on the hook. Continue working double crochets into the back loops only to the end of the round. I've completed round 11, working that last double crochet into the chain 3 turning chain. When it's fastened off, I've chosen to leave behind a long tail to help with the seaming up of the front and back panels. And cut off the excess yarn. Now that I've completed the one side of the front side panel, I can do the same on the next side. So attach yarn to the top edge of the center front panel and pull through. Again, work 2 single crochets in each of the spaces created by the post of this double crochet. Then continue as was done for the front side panel that we just completed. I've completed the other side of the front panel, fastened off and cut off the excess yarn. Moving on to the back panel, form a slip knot, chain 155 chains, or for anyone that's adjusted the length of the front panel, then chain as many chains as to match the length of the front panel. A tip on how to get the number of chains needed for the back panel: count the number of chains or posts or double crochets from the front side panel and use that number for the back panel. That's if you've made any adjustments to the length of the front panel. In this case, I'll chain 155 chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Continue to 155 chains. Now that I have 155 chains, move on to round 1. Round 1, double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. Continue with double crochets to the end of the round. Round 2 of the back panel, chain 3, and turn. Here I'll work double crochets all across, working those double crochets into the back loops only. Continue to the end of the round. I've completed round 3 to round 31 by repeating round 2. Before moving on to round 32, I've placed 2 stitch markers along the side of the back panel. The first stitch marker is at 7.5 inches and the second stitch marker is at 17 inches. I've measured from the top of the back panel. So again, for the back panel, the first stitch marker marks off the armhole opening and the second stitch marker marks off the hip. Round 32, I've chained 3, turned, double crocheted, working into the back loops, and I've worked towards the stitch marker that marks off the hip with 2 stitches to go. So again, I need to taper off round 32, so it's a half double crochet into the stitch before the stitch marker and a single crochet into the stitch marked by the stitch marker. Round 33, turn, then it's single crochet into the first stitch, and half double crochet into the next stitch. Continue working double crochets, working those double crochets into the back loops only to the end of round 33. I've completed round 33. I've also fastened off and cut off the excess yarn. We'll now be working round 34 and round 35, but we work it on the opposite side of the back panel. I've placed 2 stitch markers measuring from the top again of the back panel. The first stitch marker marks the armhole opening at 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters, and the second stitch marker marks off the hip at 17 inches or 43 centimeters. Attach yarn to the bottom of the back panel. We'll be working our way from the bottom of the back panel to the stitch marker that marks off the hip. So for round 34 and round 35, repeat round 32 and round 33. I've completed the back panel, working those sides of the back panel as well on either side of the back panel. Moving on to the sleeve, we'll be working the right sleeve. So it's form a slip knot, chain 32. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue to 32 chains. Into the 4th chain from the hook, double crochet. Double crochet into the remaining chains. Continue to the end of round 1. Round 2, chain 3 and turn. Work front post double crochets alternating with back post double crochets. To work a front post double crochet, it's yarn over, insert your hook into the post from the front, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. To work a back post double crochet, it's yarn over, insert the hook into the post from behind, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Continue alternating between front post double crochets and back post double crochets to the end of round 2. I've completed round 2 and round 3. Round 3 was a repeat of round 2. Round 4, chain 3 and turn. Here we'll work double crochets all across. At the first stitch and at the last stitch we'll work an increase. So to work an increase, it's 2 double crochets into 1 stitch. Continue working double crochets to the last stitch, where you'll work 2 double crochets into that last stitch. I'm at the last stitch, which is actually the chain 3 turning chain. Into that chain 3 I'll work 2 double crochets. Round 5, chain 3 and turn. So the pattern is double crochet into the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then into the next 2 posts of those 2 stitches we'll work 2 front post double crochets. Then it's 2 double crochets, we'll follow that with a 4-stitch cable and another 4-stitch cable, but worked in the opposite way. So for the first 4-stitch cable, skip the 2 stitches and into the next 2 work the front post triple crochets. Then it's go back to those skip stitches and work 2 front post triple crochets into those 2 stitches. Then for the next 4-stitch cable, it's skip the 2 stitches and work 2 front post triple crochets into the next 2 stitches. It's 1 and that was 2. Go back to the 2 skip stitches and work 2 front post triple crochets, but from under those 2 front post triple crochets that we've already worked. That was 1 and the second one. Then it's 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches. 1, 2 and 2 front post double crochets into the next 2 stitches, the post of the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 and 2. Then it's double crochet to the end of the round. I've completed round 5 by double crocheting to the end of the round. Round 6, it's chain 3 and turn. Here we'll work double crochets into every double crochet of the previous round and back post double crochets into every front post double crochet or front post triple crochet of the previous round. So I'm at the 2 front post double crochets from the previous. Into those I'll work back post double crochets. Then it's 2 double crochets. Into the 4 stitch cable I'll work 4 back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the next 4 stitch cable I'll work 4 back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then it's 2 double crochets, 2 back post double crochets, and double crochet to the end. I've completed round 8 to round 42 by repeating round 6 and round 7. I've also worked 2 increases in the following rounds. That's an increase on either side of the sleeve. Round 4, round 10, round 14, round 18, round 22, round 30, and round 36. I then fastened off and cut off the excess yarn, leaving a long tail to seam up the sides of the sleeve. Working with the right side facing in, seam along the edge of the sleeve. Continue to the end of the sleeve. Moving on to the left sleeve, I've chained 32 and worked rounds 1 to round 4, just as I had done for the right sleeve. I've also placed a stitch marker here as a reminder that this is the left sleeve and needs to be fitted onto the left armhole. Before moving on to round 5, I've counted 25 stitches from the end of round 4 and I've placed a stitch marker into the 25th stitch. Round 5, it's chain 3 and turn. Work double crochets to the stitch before the stitch marker. Then the pattern is 2 front post double crochets, the first one into the stitch marked by the stitch marker, and then the second one then it's 2 double crochets, then it's the 4 stitch cable. Skip the first 2 stitches, go back to those 2 skip stitches, then it's the next 4 stitch cable, but this cable is worked the opposite way. Work this cable from under the 2 front post triple crochets. Then it's 2 double crochets, followed by 2 front post double crochets, and then double crochet to the end. You'll notice for the right sleeve we started off with a chain 3 and 8 double crochets, whereas for the left sleeve we've ended off with 9 double crochets. For the right sleeve, those 8 double crochets plus the chain 3 makes it 9 double crochets. Round 6, chain 3, turn. Here again, just as we did for the right sleeve, we'll work double crochets into every double crochet of the previous round and back post double crochets into every front post double crochet and front post triple crochet of the previous round. I've completed the left sleeve by working to round 42. I've repeated round 5 and round 6. Note also that I increased in the following rounds: round 4, round 10, round 14, round 18, round 22, round 30, round 36. So it was 2 increases per increase round, and I've worked 1 increase on either side of the sleeve. Note also that the stitch marker marks off the left sleeve, which needs to be fitted onto the left armhole. For the assembly of the dress, I've placed the back panel above the right panel, right sides facing in. Make sure that they're aligned, so you'll align them at the hip, the stitch markers that mark the hip as well. To mark off the shoulders, I've measured 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and I've marked it off with a stitch marker. Seam together the sides of the front and back panels, right sides facing in, to the stitch marker that marks off the armhole. I've stitched up the sides of the dress, and I've stitched along the shoulder seams as well. Now that the sides are seamed up and the shoulders are seamed up, we can fit on the sleeves. I've already seamed up along the side edges, brought the edges of the sleeve together and seamed that up. I've also placed a stitch marker at the center of the sleeve. So if that's the seam of the sleeve, fold it in half and place a stitch marker here. So this stitch marker will align it to the shoulder seam. So to fit the sleeve, you've got your dress right sides facing in and the sleeve right side facing out. Insert the sleeve into that armhole, and then it's align the stitch marker to the shoulder seam and the seam that brought the sleeve edges together to the armhole. So that's it. So with the seam of the sleeve aligning with the under armhole and the stitch marker that we placed onto the sleeve aligning with the shoulder seam, we can now seam up the sleeve to the armhole. Make certain that it's the right sleeve on the right armhole and the left sleeve on the left armhole. We've marked off the left sleeve, so make sure that you place it on the correct armhole. Continue all around the armhole. I've attached the sleeve to the armhole. Do the same for the other sleeve. All that's left to do is to weave in all the ends.